Welcome to the first edition of the unnamed FWA podcast. TGO here, and got Tig and SS. I'm not going to mention them by their first names, but they can obviously introduce themselves that way if they want. I'm really glad to do this because I've been actually thinking about doing this for a long time. So thank y'all for doing this for me, it's the middle of a Wednesday, but for you guys, it's night.
Yeah, good to be here, though. Happy to do it.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, this is a really good idea. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out.
Yeah. So let me start. SS, math teacher for a British school in Russia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, you're spot on.
Originally from the UK. How did your life get to here? Like, what's?
I don't know really. Like, I guess I'd been working in Manchester in the UK for a long time, for 6-7 years. I sort of wanted to change. Like, I wanted to do something different, see somewhere different, I guess. And like, it's an easy way to travel the world, I guess. Like working in international schools. So I just kind of went for it. Yeah, it was a good decision. I guess back then, I didn't really expect to stay here for like 4 years, but I'm glad that I moved out here. I see something new, and I didn't really just want to go to America or Western Europe because it'd probably be very similar to the UK. So that's why I'm here. Do
you like math? Is that a specific?
Yeah, man. I bloody love maths. With an S as well. In fact, out of the 5 letters in maths, the S is definitely my favorite as well. But yeah, maths is my favorite thing, man. Like, I get such a joy out of maths. I actually did an assembly yesterday for the school about like why maths is the fucking best subject in the world. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast. But,
no, you're fine. I don't care. I'll probably curse too. I'll probably swear.
Yeah, I love maths. It's great. There's a simplicity to it, like a joy in problem solving. But yeah.
Okay. I used to like it. Then I got into calculus and I was like, I don't understand this. Like, imaginary number doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And then
there's a I think it's Gauss who said that the problem with imaginary numbers more than anything is the name. Like, if we didn't call them imaginary numbers, like, people would be able to get past it. Like, so he preferred complex numbers, but like imaginary numbers is just like, it puts people off from the onset because
right. It's like people who don't believe in global climate change. They say, why'd you call it global warming? The world's getting colder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, yeah, that's exactly.
It's an excellent question, actually. Excellent question. But there you go.
So being a teacher, that was not the original dream.
No, I've always wanted to be a teacher. Well,
okay.
Yeah, so I went straight from uni to teaching. I guess. I was actually asked this question the other day, like, why I wanted to be a maths teacher. I think, like, I had this really, really terrible maths teacher when I was like year 9, 10, so like 14, 15. He was like the worst maths teacher. He was like the stereotypical terrible maths teacher. He used to just stick you on like a computer and say, watch this video. And like, I was the only kid in my school who liked maths. And I know that maths ain't that fucking popular, but like, there should be more than one kid. There should be more than one kid in the top set that likes maths. So like, I resented that this guy was getting paid to like turn people off the subject. So yes, that's kind of what.
That's cool. I like hearing stories where like someone has a negative experience and then makes them want to be a better influence than the person that they had. I like those stories. So Tig, tell me if I'm wrong on this. I'm going to try and remember everything that we've talked about before in the past and like professional stuff. Worked in finance, but now back at school.
Finance, back at school. Yeah. Hated finance.
What? So is the decision back at school just because you hated finance?
No. See, I found out SS was a teacher, and he probably doesn't even know this actually. When I found out SS was a teacher just in the summer gone, I started thinking about that again, and obviously with everything that's gone on here in the world with the pandemic at the moment, I was kind of at a crossroads where I was in this position suddenly where I had a lot of free time and maybe I could go and get a degree. I've no degrees to speak of, nothing, no further education apart from what would be high school for you, secondary school for me. Mm-hmm. I left straight away. But I got thinking about teaching after speaking to SS, and I was thinking that you know, that is something I always wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to go and do in university, was to be a teacher. But I wasn't great in school, if we're going to be honest. Not in an academic sense, but I just didn't get on great in school, is what to say. And it kind of turned me off the idea of trying in my final year. I didn't get good results, and yeah, you know, you get to the stage then when you're 22, 23, and you're working, and you go, fuck, I need the money, and then a couple of things changed in my personal life, and I didn't need the money right there and then, so I decided to go back and do the degree and get teaching, but it's not maths. It's definitely not maths. I used to like maths like everyone as well. Like back in school, I was good at maths. Here's actually a quick one for you. I was in like this big geeky junior under 15 Irish mathematician thing. I was good at maths. It made sense to me. 2 + 2 = 4. That sort of stuff works.
I can confirm that. Checks out.
yeah. But see, this is the problem, man. This is the problem. That's why I liked it. It made sense. 2 + 2 = 4. But then when I got 16, 17, 18, in my life, 2 + 2 didn't equal 4. It never equaled 4. It just didn't fucking work. So I started leaning more into the English side of things. And that was always my favourite subject. Surprise, surprise.
Okay.
Defect writing here at the age of 20s, and it was more the reading side of it at the time than the writing side of it, but I think that comes hand in hand then. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna teach English to people.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Are you gonna stay? Where would you prefer to teach English? Like, do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to come? I mean, do you want to go somewhere more east, like outside of Europe?
I'm pretty much a home bird, to be honest. I think Dublin's pretty great. I like Dublin. I like Ireland, but I might have to. I'm talking a bit about the financial implications of going back to college, going back to university at this age. And if anyone's thinking about doing it, they are massive. Like you have no money. You go from a livable salary to that normal working adult will be surviving on to nothing. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's the same where you guys are from, but because I'm of a certain age, I've missed my opportunity to go to university and have the state help me do it. So I've had to pay for everything myself. Like, I'm broke. My life's not good at the moment in terms of what I'm doing day to day, but I'm really happy to sacrifice the couple of years now to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I might have to go further afield. I might have to maybe look at some of the higher paying countries for a couple of years to kind of get myself back up on my feet, because at that stage, you know, I'm 30 then, like I kind of want to start getting stuff together in terms of my own property and that I actually own, not renting, things like that. So I might go to maybe Dubai's been touted for a couple of years. Not that I'm big on the idea of working there, but I mean, if it's going to financially secure me, I know a good recruitment guy in Moscow, Tig. If you need a bit of employment, like, throw you a number. I mean, it's quite cold here in Dublin. I think I'm all right. I've seen it.
Yeah, I'll show him your Desert Storm promo as like a CV, mate. Like.
No, man, I don't want to get arrested.
Oh man, that's a good segue into the FWA side. So SS, tell me really quickly. All right, Jean-Luc Watkins was the first one in FWA for you.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Won the X title, I believe. Lost it to John when he had Kazadi. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Then went on a hiatus from FWA around then. Came back with MVH Michelle, who I think was CWA world champ, probably one of the greatest of all time on the CWA side.
Not. She wasn't CWA world champ, but
Not.
she was one of the greatest CWA all time. Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
World champion.
Okay. my fault on that.
Well, it's fair. Like, I was robbed on the cards. Like, I was hoping that Jimmy would be a guest, because for 4 years now, every night I go home cursing Jimmy's fucking name, mate, for that 5-star attraction. Should have been CWA world champion, but you know, like, you can't have it all, can you? Have it all. There you go. Like, sorry.
So my question would be, why not return Watkins?
I was going to just return one character, and I enjoyed writing both characters for sure. But MVH was always my favourite one to write as, especially the place that I was when I was returning. Like, I guess I had more to write as MVH than John Luke for sure. But I enjoyed both of them. But yeah, like, especially with it was difficult because when I came back onto the forum, I didn't quite know what to expect. Like, obviously when I left, there were two EFEDs on the forum, and when I came back, there was one. So there was also going to be the decision not only like which character to bring back, but which Fed to come back to, kind of thing, which was taken away from me. That decision, which is probably for the best. But yeah, so I guess I chose Michelle because I felt I had more to write as Sarah at the moment.
Do you envision bring back JLW at some point to or no? I would quite like. I sort of have little cameos in Michelle's promos with Jean-Luc, and like, I guess like the kind of trajectory that I wrote Jean-Luc in these little flashbacks was like, as a, you know, he's gone kind of off the deep end. Like, he's you know, he's you know, snorting every night, that kind of thing. Like, he's not really in a state to be coming back to the pro wrestling environment, or at least he wasn't like the last time we saw him in Michelle's promo. So I've kind of written into that corner there. So I don't think Jean-Luc will be coming back anytime soon, but for sure he'll be appearing in Michelle's promos because he's a fun character to write as. Like, he's a complete arse, and I quite like writing as a complete arse. It's quite fun, which was actually accidental that he is like that. Like, he was, when I brought him in back, you know, like 2017 or whatever it was, like, he was a face because, like, I didn't want to write two heel characters, and then he sort of almost accidentally got turned heel through a miscommunication between like myself, you, and the Altarel, Vincent Blackbird's handler, who was fucking brilliant. That guy, like, I love that guy. He's got the wildest ideas, and you gotta reel him in sometimes, but he is creative as hell.
Yeah, he's so creative. Yeah. So he sort of turned Jean-Luc into a heel, and like when he did, and like when he first did it, I was like super pissed off. I was like, "This is my fucking character, OJ. You fucking turned my character into a heel, you fucking bastard." But it was definitely the right decision because he should have been a heel, like, with the character, and I had much more fun writing him after the accidental heel turn. So it worked out well in the end, I guess. But then,
you're not the first character that he's like kind of passively taken over another person's character and like turned them in a way.
He means well though. He means well with the attention. I think ideas can just be a bit, as you said, they need to be reined in, but that can be said for a few of us.
That's very true. All right, Tig, I'm gonna, maybe this touchy subject, I have no idea.
It's not, bro. It's not. I think I know what's coming.
You know what I'm going to ask. You've had the reputation of being inconsistent. This past year has been anything but inconsistent. It's been the opposite of inconsistent. Do you think that you, at this point, have shed that label?
Of being inconsistent?
Of being inconsistent, unreliable, yes. And I'm going to use those words.
No. Definitely,
you don't?
Definitely. No, definitely not. No, it's still there. You can still see it. The pot shots are still there. There's lines in the middle of promos that I'm kind of like, oh, okay, right. Well, that doesn't really follow it, but fair enough. It's a tower pot shot. It's funny. I get it. I don't get offended by it. I can still see it there. I'm just going to go out and be honest and say, like, I wouldn't trust me still in this kind of realm, so I don't think anybody. I'm not going to ask anyone else to. I mean, I've always been entirely truthful with you, TGO, about this sort of stuff, and I'm not going to lie here and say that the FWA is going to be my priority in what I do. Over anything else on the forum, absolutely. At BVB, competitions, Matthew, 100%. FWA is why I'm there, to be honest. But over anything else in real life, probably not so much. And I did do it at Desert Storm. I got an extension on 2 of my college assignments to do the Toners promo versus Golden Rock. And I felt shit, man. Like, I made something up completely, like some quite extreme excuse as to why I hadn't got these 2 papers in. And I got an extension on them for this week. But it wasn't true at all. Like, it was just because I had to do the Desert Storm promo. And while I'm proud of that work, and obviously it's the best result I've ever had, I can't ever see myself putting myself in that situation again. For that reason alone, I don't think I've shed the label, and I don't think I should have shed the label, because there's a chance that I know you take if you put me on a spot in a card like BIB that you're not taking with, say, yourself or SS. Like, they're going to show. They're going to show up. They're going to be there. It's going to be of at least a certain standard. It's what you want for your big shows. I can't ever really guarantee that week to week. Like, some weeks I'm just I'm not doing it, and that's it. And I just think of any excuse not to do it, and I won't do it. So I don't think I've completely shed the label, but I don't think it's fair to think that I have. It's not been as long as people think either. I think people are thinking it's maybe over a year. It hasn't even quite been a year since I came back. It's more 6-7 months, and people forget that in that time, I now showed Black Caramel, I now showed Caden Knox, I now showed something else. We're running 2 shows a month. Like, the record isn't where it should be. It's not up to scratch with who I think are the best people in the Fed, and people might agree or disagree with me on this, but until it is, I don't think I should be considered for anything. Where I am is the absolute pinnacle of what I can achieve without having that full level of trust, in my opinion, anyway. And I don't begrudge anyone for it, but yeah, I think I'm getting there, and I will get there.
I'm not sure I entirely agree. I think the pot shots have decreased.
One thing I will say is Tig, that when you do no-show, you no-show really well. Like, there's no one I'd rather see no-show in the FWA than you, Tig, which I feel is a testament to you. But like, in terms of the pot shots in the promos, yeah, they've definitely decreased, but they're still there, and I think they always will be there. Like, I don't think you'll be able to shake that. Like, that's just. But if that's what somebody's going to, that's kind of like it's a cheap shot, isn't it?
It's a cheap shot. Yeah.
So like,
it's a cheap shot, but it's a fair shot as well. I think. Like you say, because it's kind of going to be a little bit of a hit. Like, it's going to kind of slap the other person. There's nothing meant by it. Of course not. We're cool. We're good. We're friends. But I think it's a fair. It might be low hanging fruit, but it's fair enough. The big thing I want people to take away from me is I don't get offended by it whatsoever. If anything, I understand it.
When I say it's like a cheap shot, like that doesn't mean it's an unfair shot. Like, if you're writing it as a heel, like that's the shot that you probably take. But
it's low hanging fruit. That's all it is.
It is, yeah.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely do it. Like, if I face you next week, Tig, then I'd write a whole promo about how you're not going to write a promo.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't feel poorly about that.
It is what it is. No.
I think, compare you to 3 years ago, if I was to guess, I think one of the differences I've noticed is if you would have no-showed 3 years ago, I think that would have snowballed. If you no-showed now, I don't think it snowballs. I think you come back the next week.
Yeah, I do. If definitely, there's too much. Like, for as much as it might seem like at times I nitpick about FWA, and I'll probably get onto that a little bit later about why I'm like that. But really, if I know show, it's a guarantee. I'm there the next card, I'm there the next week. Whereas in the past, if I did no show, it was kind of like I kind of only had until I no showed. And then people were going to start turning on me again. So, which again, as I always say, that's all completely fair, man. Like, I remember what it was like back then. It wasn't great. In terms, it couldn't have been great for a booker, but it also pisses people off. I mean, especially if I'm tagging with them or if I'm going against them, it's fucking bullshit. I mean, I've no show, I think.
Yeah.
I think I've had 4 BIBs, I've no show 3, and that's not on. That's not fair. It's the biggest event of the year, and so I've got a point to prove in that sense. I feel like I've still got to make it up. Maybe that's why I don't think it's disappeared completely, because I don't feel that I've made it up to the community yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm content.
What are the inspirations for both? I mean, it could be all 3 characters, all 4 characters, whoever. But mostly Toner and MVH. What are the inspirations? How much of yourself do you put into those characters, or is it like something that has nothing to do with you? It could be a past experience that has something to do with a friend, something to do with someone you know, or it could just be something you read from a book or a TV show, whatever. Like, how do you create this and craft these characters? Like, where does that come from? Either one of you can start.
There's not obviously just one thing, and each week it's different. Each week it's a different thing that's influencing it, obviously. But I guess with MVH, it definitely is channeling like quite a bit of me. Like I'm not obviously not entirely like MVH. I'm quite a happy, well-adjusted person. But I'm not going to write about the well-adjusted, happy parts of me. Like I don't need to write about those parts. So I guess there is a bit of quite a lot of me in the character. But like in terms of from a week-to-week standpoint, it's a different thing each week. Like so, last week it was I'd watched Assassinations of Jesse James quite recently, which is one of my favourite films, and listening to The Bandit Queen, which is where the title was from the Decemberists. I was watching quite a lot of Western stuff and thought. I'll have a go at writing a little bit of a Western pastiche, just for fun kind of thing. So each week it's a different influence, but overall, I was joking about this with AON earlier because I had quite a good week. So I was telling him that I'm definitely not going to win the CC because like my best promos are when I'm like fucking down in my real life, because that's the part of me that I'm channeling. So like, I need something. I'm willing like a grandparent to die or something at the moment. Like,
Referee.
Nah, they're all dead already. That was just a joke. Yeah.
All right, Tig, where does Danny Toner come from?
Yeah, man. Danny Toner's a bit of a weird one. It's like, I don't know, it's like some girl went to a party and 5 or 6 guys fucked her and they're trying to find out who the dad is. It's just a mix of fucking so many different things that it just kind of came to be, and I ended up with this thing. I mean, like, it started, like, Danny Toner, the character, like, I'm not going to bother talking about anyone else really because they've all been shit, to be honest. And Danny Toner's kind of the one, but it kind of started with, you guys ever seen American Psycho?
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, Patrick Bateman and that. That's who Danny was based off initially. That's what he was going to be. He was going to be this successful, wealthy, smooth talker, playboy, with something really sinister underneath. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was going to be like super sinister. I don't know if it was a good idea, but I mean, I was only 17, 18 at the time. And then kind of developed. I noticed that I don't really like writing like this. I feel like I'm writing a script for an actor that I've created and I want to have in my play, and I don't know, it doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel authentic, and I started kind of slipping more and more of my own shit into Danny and kind of turning him more and more into the stuff that I've gone through. I mean, like, I remember I had the Adam Bonnie character, and that was because I thought to myself, like, I wasn't winning, I wasn't doing too well, and I was like, what can I do here? I know I'm a strong writer. What am I good at writing? What do people like to see? And when I got, you won't be able to replicate anything more authentic than if you try and replicate yourself. So that's what I tried to do with Adam Bonnie. But it just came out like I was cosplaying McGregor or something like that. And it was, I'm not really for that. I don't really like looking at a character and getting vibes of, oh, he's like McGregor. I prefer, like, by the way, that's nothing to do with Sully, because I don't think, I know Sully uses his big pace for things, but this is all about me here. I felt like I was writing promos and I was imagining interactions and altercations and how I myself would react. But the problem with that is, and like, this is like my big bit of advice for character development, the problem with that is when you try and project yourself at the aspects of your personality that you think are good and that you think are cool, and make them bigger to create this like really cool wrestling guy in the wrestling world. You miss the realness, you miss the whole thing about it, it's making it authentic, because nobody's like that, nobody's perfect, nobody's that cool. Like, you've got to include, if you're going to base someone on yourself, you have to look at yourself, you have to accept your flaws, you have to include them flaws, because people will recognize it and say, oh shit, I'm reading this about Michelle von Horrowitz sniffing cocaine off the title when she won the X Division Championship. Fuck, this feels gritty and this feels real. And not to hang about the dry, but for me, that's like, okay, yeah, SS has done this. He's been here. He's been through this. He wouldn't be able to make it seem so lifelike if he hadn't been. And then when I kind of,
it was never off a championship belt. But
no, I did
once get I got a junior maths challenge certificate that saw a bit of cocaine in my youth. Yeah, sorry, go on.
But that's exactly it. This is what I mean. And then when I started pouring more into Danny, that was more like, oh, I completely ditched that, and Bonnie like Sonny wrote to me saying, can I use the McGregor pig base? So I was like, absolutely, thank you for asking, but like, man, you didn't have to, he's dead and buried. And when I started putting it into Danny and kind of putting more and more of my own stuff into Danny, I think that's really when he grew into the Danny that everyone kind of knows now. And it's kind of like his career in FWA has probably been reflective enough of my life as well. Even to the point that now I'm back in college and I'm starting to get it together and getting the right track. Danny seems to be getting it together in the FWA and getting on the right track. And back then when I was missing deadlines, missing promos, like, I mean, I wasn't saying shit in the promos that wasn't like, I'm not going to type to construe something in a dialogue scene. Like, a lot of my dialogue scenes are conversations I've had, maybe Americanized, so it translates better to the character and maybe so it's more relatable to the readers. The most recent example I can think of is against TGO in the singles match at a fight night. It was just a throwaway scene about Danny waking up in the morning, he knocked over a glass of water and had to clean it up with his boxer shorts. That had happened to me that morning when I wrote that promo, or when people are struggling with the script of writing and I can't picture him, I don't know what he's doing, I don't know what to say he's wearing. Look down, what are you wearing yourself? Mm-hmm. That's what your character's wearing, bro. Yeah. That's how I go about it. So I'd say Danny started out as a homage to a movie character, and through trial and error turned into what I perceive elements of my life to be if it was put onto a wrestling stage.
I think Leo was going to be Patrick Bateman as well to begin with, which would have been...
That would have been nice, yeah. That would have been a nice little link.
Yeah, he bowed out, I think, pressure from women's rights groups, which were led, ironically, by Christian Bale's stepmom. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's kind of off the maybe. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it. The part about what you said, Tig, about it's people aren't this cool. Like, that's not real. Like, imperfection, especially in e-fetting, especially, I mean, you can be The Rock. Everyone wants to come in here and be The Rock or be whatever, and like, you know, The Rock is cool and he has no imperfections on screen. But it's all visual. Like, when you're writing a character and you don't have that visual element right in front of you, imperfections are the best way to connect. And that's my opinion. Imperfections and overcoming those imperfections are the best way to connect and grow a character.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of what we're writing is obviously fantasy, but like, you can definitely tell when what you're reading is like pure fantasy. It needs to be injected with like some sort of reality and the flaws of real life, like you were saying, Tig. Like, otherwise it's just not going to be relatable. Yeah, it's much more interesting to read about somebody like fighting with a problem than solving a problem, I think. But yeah,
I agree.
You're absolutely right.
Like I said, you don't want to come in and have someone that just, oh, fucking every week's an absolute disaster. I mean, like, I think you need, especially with like a face character, you need to be thrown, like, 1 week can be pure comedic in my mind. I think that's fine. 1 week can be maybe a bit of a crazy story or an out there promo, but I think there has to be an underlying structure and an underlying timeline that you can point at and say, well, okay, yeah, he was there, now he's here. He's hoping to get there. He might not get there, but fuck, I hope he gets there. And while he's trying to get there, I'm going to support him. I think that's how it kind of works out. And likewise, I think even if you look at Danny himself as an EFED character, take it, and you can't really dissociate that from Tig the handler. If I hadn't had all that shit all them years ago, missed all the deadlines, there probably wouldn't be this feeling that there is, that some people want me to prove myself and want me to show what I can do. And I think Danny gets a lot. Danny doesn't get half the support he does as a character, or I don't get half the support I do as a handler, if you all hadn't gone through all that stuff already with me. And I think that translates into any character as well in their promos. So that's the big thing I try and focus on. Anyway, myself, like, character development's kind of the thing I think I'm strongest at, and what I try to aim to always do.
I think that a lot of that is underdog story. I think that's my guess, is people always have the soft heart for an underdog story. So what you said about you coming with a face
it's a bit more than the underdog story, I think, because it's like, so it's the underdog that you recognize should be winning like these matches and would be winning these matches like if they came. So it's like, you know, it's not just seeing like somebody beat somebody that they shouldn't be beating. It's like seeing them finally beat somebody that they should always have been beating.
For GG, for Grayson, I was going to mention, so I came in with the golden character as like just this white knight baby face, super similar to Grayson, and they're tough characters to write in an EFED because they come in so shallow and surface level, kind of, you know. I mean, they don't have a lot to them, but then you realize that you have a low ceiling that way. And so pretty quickly, those characters are actually some of the first ones to develop, get flaws, like kind of go more into the gray, and you kind of see these characters turn, versus like a heel that comes in and is just like, you know, an SOB right off the start. They don't really have that push off the start to like kind of change to be successful. So I actually think, even though it's tougher to write like a white knight baby face, I actually think it leads more to like better writing quicker, if that makes sense. Because you have to evolve quicker. Like, you're not going to go further than the X Division title if you're just going to be that character. You're not.
That's it. That's actually true, and it probably shouldn't be as rigid as that. But I think you're on the money, man. I think you're absolutely right. As you said, white knight baby face. I mean, unless you're an exceptional writer, it's only going to go so far just being that white knight baby face. I mean, the other side of it is when characters that are meant to be heels and they turn into faces through sheer fan support or sheer reaction, and I'm there thinking like, well, is this person still writing a good heel character, or has this person evolved to a kind of a tweener sort of situation? Like, I mean, with SS sitting right here, I mean, MVH is obviously the one that springs to mind straight away, and it kind of came in and, oh, you no doubt about it, this girl's a heel, unless you see things in a very particular way, this girl's a heel.
Yeah.
But now, like, just getting these massive face reactions, and I know that's all people.
She's getting the face reactions, mate, because that's the way I write it. But, but yeah, I do know. I know.
That's what I was going to say. People are going to write that, but I think, to be fair, it's been a long time since the reaction on screen doesn't translate to what people feel. I mean, like, everyone loves MVH, man.
Yeah, like, well, to go back for a second to Grayson, like, I think one of the big like plus points for Grayson, you're right, he is like a, you know, white knight face, but like he writes it with such authenticity, like Jam, like, and when you speak to Jam, like he is like, he isn't Gerald Grayson obviously, but like the like you begin to realize why when you read this kind of, you know, the white knight face, when you read this, but it still feels authentic, you realize why that is, and that's because like Jam's that kind of guy, like, you know, so like it does have like a real feel to it, what Jam writes, which Jam's
great. Gigi's great.
He's nice.
If
He's a good dude. He's a good guy.
If there's one thing that I'd like to do is it's get people to realise like that GG character, man, it has potential. Like, it has big potential. Like, for me, probably the most out of anyone on the roster. Like, I think I think GG's gonna fly. I don't know when it's gonna be. Maybe not right now. It might be within the year. But I said it a few months ago. I don't see a world where Grayson doesn't challenge for world titles over the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think people are talking about Peacock in the CC, but I think Grayson's going to be a real sleeper as well. From what I'm hearing through the grapevine in terms of what.
Well, he wasn't gonna do it. He wasn't.
I know he wasn't.
Yeah,
I was fucking prodding him like a motherfucker for a few days.
Like, dude's crazy. Like, Jam, if you're listening to this, you're way too harsh on yourself, dude. I'm delighted to hear that he's in. So can we take this as official confirmation? Like, this is the scoop from the episode. GG is in. GG is in the CC.
Like, I have it on good authority by my own authority that GG will be in there.
Nice.
Right, he's going to send send a promo in, or get spammed by me quite a lot. But
I always tell people, even if you're in like his spot, even if you don't win, you can get in that top 7. Now you're going to Elimination Chamber. Who knows what happens from there? But like, you get into that spot, and like, now you're in like that. You're on that, like, I'm getting over the cliff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one away from getting over that cliff, and like, you win the chamber, and you're basically a back of the head storyline for a whole year. So
that's it. You're done. Yeah, you're made. Like,
yeah, that's why I was trying to get you to promote, Tig.
I know.
Good. SS, compare. So MVH and JLW. I read some JLW promos today, actually. How do you see them different, like, in your writing? Because, like, to me, when I read MVH, I'm like, this is very novel-esque. I feel like I just opened up a book.
Yeah.
And when I read JLW, I was like, this feels a little bit more, and we're going to get into this topic, a little bit more like another promo that I would read, or a little closer to that. Am I wrong?
Sorry, say that one more time. Sorry.
I think Michelle's, the way you write Michelle, it reads like a novel. It feels like a novel. Like, I could read a passage from this Desert Storm promo and be like, this, I feel like I just started a chapter in a novel. Yeah. If I'm reading Watkins promo, and I just read a couple, it feels a little bit less like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, it's definitely a very different style. Like with Watkins, I was going for like kind of like an epistolary kind of style, where like everything that you read it's not a promo, it's like a document that exists somewhere in the real world. So it's either like a news story from a website, or like an Amazon book review, or like his diary, or something like that. Like, it's not like, nothing's like third person, like,
that is cool, man. Sorry for cutting you. That is cool. I didn't realise you'd done that, but now I do. Now thinking back, I can see it. That's pretty cool. That's
what I was going. It was fun. It was good doing that in like little different inventive ways. Like, my favourite one was the Amazon book review. I thought that was I really enjoyed writing that one. But too often with him, I'd like fall into a rut, and like I'd just put out a diary entry or something like that. So like each week, like to come up with something good and new, it felt a bit more gimmicky. Whereas with MVH, you are right. I feel like I could just like sit down and kind of write, and like I don't know. I think that does sometimes count against me sometimes in some ways, but it's how I enjoy writing most. Like, and if I'm going to write week to week, that's how I like writing. And that's that's the most important thing in it. I guess so. But yeah, I do see a point. It is a completely different style. And like JLW was like a fun experiment in some ways. And it was interesting. I enjoyed a lot of the promos, but I definitely enjoy writing MBH on a consistent basis a lot more.
The science of promos, it's a good segue into that, and like what Comeback Kid brought up in Discord. there's a balance. I know there's a balance. It's a line. It's a pendulum. But like the discussion of like staying grounded in wrestling and the idea of we're in a wrestling organization, or go more creative, more storytelling, more novel-esque.
Yeah.
I kind of have a sense of where you fall. Really, where all three of us fall. But what are your thoughts? How do you feel about that?
I think I am a lot more. I am a lot more closer to like it should be about your match than I think. Maybe is thought. Like, I mean, for instance, like I don't know, my last one. Like, I know that it got a bit of blowback for having the big like bell segment like right before the part, like in the middle of the park kind of showdown. But that was sort of the point, you know, like how like there's been a lot about how like from AON and stuff about how we've got a few with Bell and then we've got a few with Par and then it's back to Bell and then Par and that kind of thing. So like that was meant to be like a big thing about that. And I think as long as you're kind of like linking things in that way, you know, it's all right if you want to go off on tangents. Like some of the best promos, like I like that. Like I loved John's promo last time out at Desert Storm. I thought it was one of the best ones on the card. And like, although, you know, it was just, you know, black font and like it wasn't immediately about Conchu and Gerald, like it was about that, and it was about JJJ and what he was doing at the moment. And yeah, I think as long as it's not a completely irrelevant tangent, then it's fine if you have to dig a bit deeper to get to what it's saying about the feud and the match.
I don't have a problem with mentioning Bell. I actually, because like to me, all right, the 3 Finger Bandits Par, Bandit Queen is Bell. We're referencing Bell and MVH's failure. So now like there's hesitation to get into a confrontation with Par, and Par is actually like bringing this up and like kind of hitting her in the face with it. So like I think there's a tie. I think it's sensible, and I think it's 100% works. The way the match was written obviously kind of affirms the ending of the ending. To me, I don't know how to read in the ending. I just thought it was like very vague and open-ended.
Yeah.
It's just like her riding off on a horse. Like, I don't really know what happened there. And so like, I was like, okay, there's not a lot of, I don't see MVH making development like more like concrete, like, oh, noticeable, it's obvious development with Par, because I don't see it. But it was probably, I imagine you probably wrote it that way because like the match ended in the DQ, and we're going to have a second one, hopefully.
I see your point. I guess it depends on how you're reading, you know, what you see is character development. Like when I don't know, if I feel I know the character a little bit more, like know how they would react in certain situations, how they feel about certain things, like that develops the character for me. It doesn't develop the character in terms of progress in an arc, but like, you know, it's progression to the reader, which you know, I guess that's sort of what I was going for. You're absolutely right. You know, there is no progress in terms of she hasn't moved anywhere or developed in any way, which is true of like 99% of the things that are right. But you know,
I don't know. I'm pissed if you don't have Bell in that promo, man.
Sorry, what was that, mate?
Say that again.
I don't know. Like, me myself, I'm pissed if Bell's not in that promo. I mean, you maybe it's the way I look at things. I don't know. Maybe it's like I view the Fed, but yourself, John. Yeah, John, yourself and John have what I find a very rewarding style of promoing, wherein that if you as the reader follow along and are picking up on the links throughout the stories, I mean week to week, reading the shows, reading the previous promos, I find you and John really kind of like, I don't want to say fan service because that's got a negative connotation, and this is a complete positive what I'm saying here. I feel if you follow along, your promos can be very, very rewarding. So can John's. And I think if you look at MVH, I mean, can you look at MVH without thinking about Bell? I don't know how people can if they do, because
it's true.
I don't, SS, you know how highly I think of you, you know, like where I think MVH be. When John the other day was saying something was true, I know he was messing with you and was just taking little pot shots at you. But what people do remember is that Bell did beat MVH. Bell came back for this match and beat MVH and left, and MVH continued on. That's fine. But hold on, Bell did beat her. So all of a sudden, the story from, well, since I joined anyway, was that MVH is on a hot streak to BOIB, main event, world championship, cannot be stopped. She is going to be number one in the Fed at BOIB, if not beforehand. There's nothing nobody can do about this. But then hold on, Bell pops in, and then I'm not getting into whether I agree with results or not, nothing like that. I know everyone's had their opinion on that, but the fact remains, Bell came in, be the best in the Fed for the year, come in and beaten one of the best in the Fed without a shadow of a doubt. Someone that was previously conceived to be maybe unstoppable in their current trajectory. And now I can't help but look at MVH without something I always think of fucking Bell. Always. And I think that's good. I think that can work in your favour.
I think
we will see the end of this, and I think it will be rewarding. Yeah, I'm pissed at Bell's not in that last promo. That might just be the way I'm looking at it. In more kind of the side of the science of the promo. Should it be A? Should it be B? I don't really want to get into that too much because my opinion is a bit crap and it's not really entertaining. My opinion is just do you, which is very boring. But that is my opinion, just do you. And if you're a good writer, it'll shine through in the end. But I mean, I think Bell's needed in that last promo, personally.
I think the head, there's like, you can write in like a confidence shake for MVH connected to losing the bell. Mm-hmm. And that's how I read it, at least like in relation to how she is confronting or not confronting Parr. Absolutely. So, and I think that is, of course, its arc an arc in and of itself, because at some point MVH is going to get over that, or in theory would get over that. So that is in itself, like, that's an arc. And the fact that there would be two matches, you kind of have to save that possibly. So no, I agree. I actually think that, like, I was back and forth, but like in the end, I think that Bell should be there. I think it makes sense.
So like, I think a similar thing was said about the thing that I did with Shake at the start of the year, and looking back on that is entirely justified. Like, I think having a little Parr cameo in like a very similar kind of position as the Bell one in that promo, like, I think that was definitely a misstep. But like, that was trying to make it overly convoluted. But yeah. But I think going back to what Tig said about just doing you does come into it. Like, a lot of this is that I just enjoy writing with AON, I guess. Like, I like working with AON on stuff.
Do you guys read every promo, and do you read all the results word for word?
Yeah.
Not the results word for word. Like, I'll read every segment and probably, I don't know, 60% of the matches. Promos.
Do you prefer grading or match writing? Sorry to interrupt you. It kind of leads to that question.
Depends on the match. Like, it's linked into the previous question, because like with the promos, like I've got my, like, I'll probably read over half of the promos each week. Like, I got my guys who I read every week, and then I'll kind of read a few others each week. At the moment, so like, grading is generally quite easy, because like, I'll usually have read like one of the promos in the match already. Match writing can be fun, like, depending on the stipulation and stuff. Like, I think like with match writing, I'd like to see like shorter. And I know it's ironic that I'm saying this because I write stupidly long matches, but like, especially on like fight nights and stuff, like shorter, more like recap styles, like more kind of digestible. But yeah, but obviously pay-per-views, I think, you do need the proper match write-ups. But I think a more digestible fight night style would be a good thing moving forward. Like, because I read like enough matches. I feel like I read an above average amount of matches, just like based on, you know, things like comments in the thread and that kind of stuff. But like, I'm not reading every word of every match, and like, I don't know how many people are, and I think a more digestible thing would ensure more more readership. But yeah, that's
okay.
My opinion.
I don't know if anyone actually reads every word. Maybe AON, he might, but
I actually am going to jump in and say that I do.
You do. You read every word.
I do. I read every word of any FWA output, anything, any news reports, any shows, any promos. The promos, look, I prefer reading the show results and the promos, but I do read the promos. I read them all. I don't always leave reviews, but I read every promo, and read every show. And I think that is because I watch absolutely no wrestling in real life. Nothing. None. I don't have. I watched that pay-per-view the weekend with the lads that in the group. That was because they were having a live discussion. That's what I wanted to be part of. I didn't really care about Revolution. This is how it's like my. I think I'm stealing your word in here, TGO, but it's like my final link to the wrestling.
I was going to ask.
It's the AFED. So I mean, I think that's why AON as well sometimes sounds critical in his reviews, because I know he does the same. He looks at it as if he's watching an episode of Raw on Monday night, and he's sitting down and taking the 2 hours to watch Raw, and he can say what he feels about it because he's done that. That's kind of how I look at it as well. It's not meant, because I know I've crossed myself I've crossed over into this territory a few times. I've said, oh Jesus, I've clicked post and had to quickly go in and edit something, completely burying someone, or that sounds way more harsh than I meant it to sound. But I think you kind of get caught up in it when you do read it every week. Now look, if it's a fight night, if it's a fight night and I haven't shown up for the fight night, I haven't read anything. If it's a fight night and I'm not booked, I probably haven't read any of the promos, but I will read the show results. But for the most part, I tend to try and read everything that's put out FWA wise, and I think it does actually. I think it does help for crafting a kind of weaving narrative when you're then doing your own work with your own character.
You are right, and when I say like I read, over half the matches, I mean like. So I don't mean like I'll read all of one and none of the other, but, I feel it's natural, like if you're going through the entrances to pick out, the commentary and like when you're in the matches. Like I've written the exact sort of sections in a match that I'd skip,
definitely. I think we all, you fall into it, don't you? Like, I mean, you have to get something out there.
But
is e-fetting, do you watch a lot of wrestling, or is e-fetting like, because it is for me, I don't watch a lot, is e-fetting like one of the last links to like pro wrestling?
I don't watch much wrestling. I watch Dynamite on a weekly basis. Like, I've got a friend back home who watches wrestling as well, so like I watch it with him each week. But that's all I watch, just Dynamite. So yeah, I saw Revolution this week. But yeah, other than that, nothing. Like, I haven't watched. The last WWE show I watched was the one with Tyson Fury on it in Saudi Arabia, and that was where I got off the bus at that stage. So yeah, I haven't watched anything. So yeah, so it sort of is like, and there's been patches like where I haven't watched any wrestling and I've still been e-fedding, because it's like, it's the writing as much as the wrestling, I guess, which is enjoyable.
That kind of plays back into the science of promo debate thing we were having as well. Like, I know this is another cop-out answer, but like you said there, it's the writing for you as much as the wrestling. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people as well. So at that point, that's when I kind of start saying in my head, well, if it is about the writing as much as it's about the wrestling, if someone does want to get really, really creative with a promo, how much would I rag on them for not really focusing on, this is a wrestling company, you're my opponent. That's a really
good point. That's a really good point. I hadn't put those two and connected them together, but like, you got someone who's like super into wrestling. They watch Raw every week. They watch New Japan every week. They watch AEW every week. They watch Impact every week. They're probably going to do a backstage segment for their first two promos.
Yeah, man. They have to.
That's because that's what they're interested in, right?
That's what they know. It's like when, I don't know if you guys are the same when you started, but when I started out, oh man, it was my worst thing by a mile. That's the thing I hate seeing in any writer, but it's the trap everyone falls into, and it's mimicry. I hate saying this bit of advice, not because it's not good advice, it is good advice. I just think it can be construed so incorrectly by people, especially starting out, when people say, find who you think have the best promos. Read them promos. Read who have the best grade. Read the promos that have the best grades. Take bits from that, piece it together yourself. That's absolutely fine. Don't get me wrong. You will mold a good, competent. You know, they're going to be upper mid at least if they're capable, right? Or level of talent by bringing someone on that way, by saying, look at him, what does he do, right? Take that from him, take that from her, and so on. Then when you kind of just let them run with their ideas, let them flow, let them do things that are out the box. It's important for people to remember when you're starting that, right? Like if I tried to copy SS's style now, honestly, God, you'd probably run me out of the company. I tried doing it when I was working with him on a little bit of his Rondo piece, and I mean, to write in that style the way he does, and to try and get it so it wasn't so jarring that it looked like, oh, Tig was writing this, and that kind of work. Man, it was so hard. I was spending so much time going over, like, I was only saying one simple thing, and it was taking 3 or 4 lines to say it and keep the piece. Now, SS said he liked it and it done well, which is great, but I wouldn't be able to maintain that way of writing, and I wouldn't be able to do it. So I don't think people should come in and look at the card and say SS is at the top, Suddy's at the top, Gabs is at the top. What do they do? I think people should just not be afraid to try and do their own thing. And a lot of it, trust your instinct, trust your writing. Like, if you're captivating enough and you have created a real character, like we talked about earlier, it will shine through. Like, you don't have to be overly cute, bash your points over people's heads with a hammer. You just have to keep the story advancing, keep it moving, show real emotion, show it. Like, don't be afraid to look weak. Don't be afraid to lose matches. Don't be afraid to spin your wheels for, I know it sounds like a long time, but a year in universe, maybe down the bottom of the card, not really doing much. I mean, like, I always go back to it. My winning percentage is absolutely shocking. It's so bad. But I do think I've one of the more developed characters on the roster. When you look at it, I think low down on the accolade side of things, not so low down on the interest side of things. And you can really get something out of this through writing a captivating story, even if the results aren't translating directly into main events or world championship wins. Like, I know that's nice, and I know, like, that's probably everybody's ultimate goal, kind of, winning the world championship maybe. But honestly, like, I'm after the last 5 or 6 months, I've gotten so much out of this fed, in terms of writing and in terms of enjoyment. And I mean, it's just, I think it's important. The more people we have that stay true to themselves, write the way they want to write, and don't just try and be, not that it would be a bad thing, as I've said, we need it, but not just to try and be, not just try and be the next Saint Sully or the next Devin Golden, but somebody new that maybe in 10 years' time, somebody else who's in the Fed will turn around and say, like, oh, I want to be the next so-and-so. And maybe it will get to a stage where people don't just have this kind of revisionist mindset of looking back on what's happened in the past and saying, Ryan Hall, for, 5 times world champion, this guy must be a fucking beast. And I'm sure he was great when he was around. But, I mean, people still seem, when I started in FWA, people were kind of pointing to him, like, look at Ryan Hall, look at what he does. And I was doing that. I was looking at Ryan Hall promos, looking at it. It took me a couple of years, and I realised I don't want to be Ryan Hall light. I don't want to be Ryan Hall version 2, even if it means I'm not going to have the success that I would have if I did just follow this path. I'd much rather do my own thing and be remembered for that. And get whatever success you get through doing that, I mean, it really feels earned. Like, I can't. Never am.
He's coming back. He's coming back. This Ryan Hall guy.
So indeed. He's
got a story he needs to tell, lads.
Oh my God!
Starts at the CC, mate.
Oh my God!
This is what I mean, and what I suppose I'm tangent big time here, but I'm trying to get back to the overall point of when I segged off about the science of promo. Is that, like, it's going to change all the time. It's always going to be different. This is why I don't like the X equals X, Y equals Y statements people make about this is what you do to have a good pro, this is what you do to. It's going to change all the time. TGO, I don't have to tell you, not even different graders, a different day, a different hour on the clock, and you were going to be scored the victor you and Sean were going to be scored the victor against the Toners. It changes that frequently. That like what's going to go over, what worked for you last month, it mightn't work in the setting in 2 months' time even with the same graders. It's just I don't know. It's constantly changing, constantly evolving. So I think it's important for the characters themselves to be the one consistent, stay true to themselves, don't try and copy anyone, and just go with your instinct, trust your eye.
To segue slightly off of the science, more because you guys have both been in CWA a lot longer than I was in CWA, because I was in CWA for a hot minute.
You done well though, didn't you? I think that. Okay.
I don't think I did anything notable.
Right. You were interim high voltage champion. Like,
is that what it was? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I was trying to shoehorn a fourth person into the high voltage tournament, and that was something I found out when I was looking through old shows. So,
yeah. Yes.
That's all I could find.
Compare the FWA and CWA. How are they different? And this is also like helps me because it's like, how can the FWA be better?
The one thing that FWA definitely has over the CWA is that you can read everyone's promos, and like I know I just admitted that I don't read all of them, but I like being able to read, some of them. Like that was a major drawback for CWA, and something I didn't like when I was in CWA. I think CWA definitely had a more laid back kind of vibe than FWA back then when I was in both of them at the same time. Like there was not really much fuss in CWA. It was just, send your thing into Jimmy, like read the show, like, it was generally quite chill. But yeah, that was the main differences back then. I think now when there's only one, like I think it's definitely a lot more chill now than it was. Like people get frustrated after shows, understandably. Like everybody's been there, I guess. But I think there's definitely a lot more of a community feel now than there was back then. Like I think it's that's definitely a good thing.
I was going to say, is that largely because of Discord?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. Yeah, it is. It's a good thing. Especially because the activity on the forum has probably since the Discord as well. I think in terms of news and off topic and that kind of stuff. Like because it creates a buzz the more discussion there is about it, and people want to produce more content.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a coincidence. I know I've only been back for about a year, but like the Fed has definitely been steadily growing since the Discord came about. Like I think it creates more of a community kind of vibe, which is a good thing.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean it's CWA. Yeah, I've probably a slightly different experience with it than SS would have had. CWA when I was in CWA and active was kind of like, I don't want to be quoted on dates, but I think maybe 2010 through to 2012 maybe. That was kind of when I was in CWA. And I flitted in and out, but when FWA came to the site, I don't think I was particularly big into CWA in terms of my own activity. So I find it hard to compare them then, but from the earlier version of CWA, I think, not for this to be misconstrued by either side, because I know both sides have their supporters, but overall, CWA felt a little easier to me than FWA. But with the benefit of hindsight, I think at the time, the top guys in CWA might have just actually edged who the FWA's top guys were then. Up and down the card, FWA was stronger, but I think right, if I'm remembering the timing right, I mean, with Snowman Tashi at his best, Maskell at his best, Carlos and Truth are still knocking around. Crash, Crash was around then. I mean, that was a pretty wild main event scene for CWA. But honestly, other than what SS has said, I'm definitely going to get heat off some people for this, probably the likes of AON and Crash that are CWA loyal. But the way it is now and the way it was, maybe it'll be different now with SS's involved. But for the longest time, to me, FWA and CWA, the only difference was the letter in front of WA. It was Wrestling Company 1A and Wrestling Company 1B. They never felt different to me, production-wise. Aside from maybe when John was running the CWA, it kind of had a bit of a different feel to the way it was. Other than that, I honestly, this isn't a go at anyone, or this isn't a negative, but I think you could swap Fight Night and put it on CWA programming, or put Adrenaline Rush on FWA at that time, and it really wouldn't have made that much of a difference. I think it's overstated. I think a few people seem to think there was maybe a gap in quality between the two feds. I think especially when FWA came, it kind of seemed like the noisier, shinier version of CWA, but in my experience of it was, quality-wise, wasn't much in it after the first few months, and I just think it's a bit of a shame that there seemed to be. I don't know why I never understood why the feds didn't merge. Like, the only thing I could say was that one of them posted their promos publicly and one of them didn't. CWA is still kicking in some form, which is great, but I do think we missed out on some really big banging years that we could have had, like 35, 40 guys going at it. Like, it would have been sweet. I don't think we'll ever get that now, because you're never going to get the old CWA guys to come back now that haven't done it in years. But that's kind of all I think of when people ask you about FWA and CWA. It's missed opportunity. Now, I'm sure there's reasons for it, and that's whatever. But yeah,
I'll admit that we didn't used to put videos, like the actual embedded videos, in for people's entrances until I saw Jimmy doing it in CWA. And that's like we started doing it whenever we came over and saw that that's what the CWA did. And I was like, that's a cool addition. We didn't, and there's other stuff we probably taken from CWA. I don't know if Jimmy took anything from us whenever we came over, but I know that we didn't merge, We didn't merge because we felt like if we would have merged, FWA would have been the one that, like, that would have been the name that would have stuck. We felt that way.
But that was the film. That was the film.
That was
you were a mod. I wasn't a mod, and I think that was the film across the board.
And we didn't want to come off like we were
taking over,
booting them out. Yeah, I mean, it's a delicate situation. I mean, they've been around for a long time, so it was like, well, let's just try and make two work. We don't want to come off like we're invading.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
But I do see your point that, like, we probably missed a chance. Like, we probably missed an opportunity there to do something really fun and special. But yeah, I don't know. That's the best answer I got from like whatever 6-7 years ago.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. No, it's fine.
Why didn't you merge?
Get him. Get him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of kill now, isn't it? No, I think it's kill the way CWA is operating now.
I think so. So let me ask this, SS. What like you might have seen the question when I sent it over. What's end goal for that? For this idea where it's like these kind of semi-regular shows?
I think that's just it. I think it's just a fun thing to do on a semi-regular basis. Like, I think if you look at the people involved are generally the people who are in FWA as well. There's a few exceptions, like Willis was involved in the last show and is going to be involved in this one as well. Like, and Gambit's going to be involved in this one, that kind of thing. Like, it's different characters, but it's mostly the same handlers. So it's fun to to trot those out in that context again. But I don't think anything more than semi-regular shows. But yeah, we like CBK did some like awesome graphics for the titles recently. So we're bringing those back to be depending on those. But I think like two, three shows in a year, like just something fun. But yeah, it was just spawned out of the lockdown really, and I was looking through the old threads and the one that Wolf tried to get started, and I thought it'd be cool if we finished it, and I think the last one turned out pretty good, and this one's going to be awesome as well.
I like the idea a lot.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it has like that ECW one night, like the ECW one night stand, ECW reunion type feel. Just
exactly.
More than once a year, so I like it.
That's what we're going for. Yeah, and so I think in the next show, which probably be at the end of the year, we're gonna announce something on that, which wouldn't be a crossover thing, but might give people an opportunity to get more involved, even if they haven't necessarily had a CWA character and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's a pretty cool formula, pretty cool format that is kind of easily maintained and doesn't require a whole lot from people to make work. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, man, like people can get involved and like write as much as they want for it. Like no, like on the last show, none of the characters were like made to look weak or anything. Like even if you didn't promo, like you know, more of a fun event rather than a competitive one. But like if you wanted to promo to win, like me and AON are definitely going to be promoing to win at the next one. Like
exactly.
Of course we are. Like even though it's our like 106th meeting, we're definitely going to like go out properly. But like even if you just want to try out your old character and write a bit as that, then that's fine too. Yeah,
but I think it does open up the door for kind of more that probably, like, I know for someone that loves kind of wacky stuff and kind of creative promos and all, like I think it kind of lends itself to a wrestling product that I'd like to watch, wherein that the draw isn't the storyline. It's more so, well, who's better, SS or AON? Because that was kind of that's kind of the original draw, right? That's the draw to the feds. Who's a better writer? Is it TGO or is it Tig? Is it Sean? Is it John? Is it SS? Is it AON? Like, I mean, that's really, like, you can put all the bells and whistles on fields that you want, but really, if you're going to get a 30, 40 post-reply BIB, it's going to be because there was 3 or 4 matches there that were really, really tight, and people really, really weren't sure who was going to win. And
I'd almost entirely agree. It's not quite who's better, it's who's better this week, because like it'll be different every week. But sorry, go on.
No, absolutely no problem at all. But that's exactly it. I mean, like, that still can be the draw. But if I felt a bit robbed at that end, it was just because I wanted to know who won between SS and Mike Parr. That was it. SS.
It was written there on the page, mate. Winner by disqualification, pal.
No, but
what are you talking about? Like, you saw it right there, man. Like, come on, get it.
But I mean, that's it. I know there's a winner, and I gauge from this disqualification victory that SS did win, and this was rolling into the finish. But I'm not particularly down on the finish. I'm saying I can completely understand the feeling of we didn't get a clear winner.
I get that argument, yeah, of course. I guess, like, well, obviously I'm going to defend the finish in a way. Like, I think, so like, I don't know, like when the last pay-per-view we had that ended in a DQ finish was. Like, I can't remember one in the last year, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's been a while. I mean, I think the fact that it hasn't happened in a long time makes it okay in a way too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, maybe.
Definitely.
No, I guess like as I mentioned in the thread, like, you know, like we decided on the ending beforehand, like we wanted to do another match, like we thought like there was more legs to kind of like the story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we were going to do. We did try for a few days. We had a few different like ideas about how we were going to do it. Like we were floating everything. Like Prod floated an idea of like you know, like them, you know, having a like stabling up afterwards, and then at the end of it, one of them would turn on the other, you know, like after a few weeks of Par and MVH, like burying the hatchet and like running rough shot of the Fed. Like, you know, we had all these mad ideas about what we could do, but like we were just doing those because it was the pay-per-view main event, you know, and like the original finish was the most logical one for continuing the story. So
exactly. And this is kind of, I didn't mean to cut sound down on that end, and I more so wanted to point out that I understood why people were down on the end. What I actually was trying to get to was because TGO had mentioned something about Discord to you and the community and all. And again, I could be wrong. My feeling has just been that in the past, the Discord's brilliant, the Discord's great, but it is an open forum for people to say whatever they want, essentially.
It is.
So we all know that. We all accept that. You're going to fight fires with that as part of it. But that's what happens. But a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions get tossed around. And I love the Discord, there's no idea. But I've seen one guy say that he doesn't like something. Leave it as general as that. I've seen one guy say, I don't like this. And then there's 2, 3, maybe 4 hours worth of debate about the topic. Because number one, well, someone's going to reply to him. Number 2, he's put it out there. He's looking for a reply. Number 3, it's so easy to sit there on your phone, on your laptop, and just type what comes into your head with no repercussion. It's in the Discord. It's not public on the forum. You can say what you want to say. Everyone knows we're just having an open, honest, frank discussion. But I find myself coming in and reading a couple of hours worth of debate about a topic, maybe even replying to the things, coming in with my own opinions. Then, boom, a week or 2 later, you might see that change implemented into some. And then I'm left thinking, hold on, this wasn't even a fucking big deal. One person didn't like this. One person didn't like this, and there's just been a platform for people to discuss it. And because they were free, or because it was easy to, that's just happened. That discussion's gone on for a couple of hours, and you come in, TGO, you log on, you see 100 messages about the colour of tights that pair was wearing for the main event entrance or something. I don't like Michael Parr's trunks this week. And, and I know that's a very simplified example of what goes on, but maybe things should be recognised as, okay, this person doesn't like it. This isn't necessarily reflective of the Fed just because there's been a conversation about it for a couple of hours.
You're right. And it comes back to what you were saying earlier about, you and AON and not what you're not watching wrestling, so this is your wrestling. You're sitting down as if it was a pay-per-view, and if I was watching a pay-per-view and it ended like that, I would fucking hate it. I would be fuming. I'd be like, they've sold me out. That's pointless. That was a waste. That was a waste of time. But I still wrote that. And when I was writing it, I knew that that's what I would feel if I was watching that on a show. I'm not saying it was a troll or anything like that, but there's, I don't know. That's part of it, I guess. That's maybe part of Parr's motivation, and you can see Parr's motivations in that. And in EFED, more than wrestling, kayfabe is more blurred than ever. When I write MBH and she's away from the ring, she's still thinking about the ring, she's actually fucking fighting Mike Parr this week. I know that AON there writes it differently. He writes, in his writing, kayfabe is preserved, wrestling's still predetermined and all that kind of stuff. But that's not really how I write it. I don't know how other people do and that kind of stuff. But if that's how she's coming into it, and that's how Parr's coming into it, then that's the perfectly logical way for him and the new breed to end that match when she's shaping up for victory. So
absolutely,
there's an internal logic to it, So there you go.
I agree with you, Tig. You said basically someone will say something in Discord. It's an anomaly opinion, but then all of a sudden everyone just kind of goes crazy and the whole world gets turned upside down. It happens. And I can admit that maybe the mods are even on that side. I'll also say, and I don't think that WCW 1997 is the end goal, but WCW 1997 ended pay-per-views on DQs all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay.
And they made millions of dollars. So it's if it tells, and it was always to tell a story. I mean, it was always to go to the next match. So I don't have a visceral reaction towards it. Yeah. I think also the fact that the Gangstars thing happened on the exact same show was I think people had more of a reaction to that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was big. All right, that was big.
So let me ask, do you guys like that? What happened? The reveal? I mean, you can talk about it from oh, this is cool, or you can also talk about it from, oh, this is logical or not logical.
It was pretty shocking. And I think the argument that it's not logical because they had this huge blood match earlier on. I think that overlooks the Crash and Black history. That I could see them like being in a regular team like all the time and still having like fucking wars and that kind of stuff, you know, like, so I don't mind the logic on that, like that viewpoint, but it was like a shocking moment for sure in the pay-per-view. It doesn't seem logical at the moment, especially like why are they going over after Golden Rock, like you know, like surely the you know, the draw would be the titles, not Golden Rock themselves. Why, after the result of the match, aren't they really focusing on the toners? Like, you know, like there's a lot of questions like that. But like, you know, you gotta give the writers a chance to tell the story, I guess. So like I'll reserve full judgment on the logic of it next week. But I enjoyed the moment. Like, it's a pretty shocking moment. I didn't see it coming. I was pretty confident it was the Echo, and I think like, I don't know, Crash and Black probably wrote it that way, like to suggest that in certain parts.
Mm-hmm. I also didn't know who it was. I mean, I know Sully said that. I had no idea who it was. I thought it was the Sin City Vultures. I thought it was Oz.
Same. Didn't you? You thought it was me at the very start, man.
I did. Yeah.
You wrote to me saying nice attack, and I was like, what is this guy talking about, man? What's he on about? I've just been kicking it backstage. Like, what's he on about?
I did a similar thing to AON. I was messaging him, like, I was like, oh, I thought you said Echo would never beat an FWA, man. Like, nice backstage seg, but yeah, way off base.
Yeah, I thought it was SCV myself when it came. Again, if anyone's keeping track, it's probably my 5th or 6th cop-out answer, but friendship trumps everything. Like, if the way I look at it is, if Kevin Owens was getting beaten down by whoever the heel faction is on his brand now, Roman Reigns and the Usos or whatever, and Sami Zayn came out and saved them and they held the ring and cleared it, I don't need any more explanation. I don't need it. Steen and Generico are best friends. That trumps everything. Yes, they've killed each other over the years and they haven't been on the same side, but you don't need to explain to me why Owens suddenly picks up for Sami Zayn, or why Sami Zayn would suddenly pick up for Owens. I think there's some things
the start of that was like, you know, Owens getting beaten down in the ring. Like this angle, like, I don't know, it lacks the lack of aggression to
maybe
start.
Actually, that's a fair point, to maybe spur on someone as to, like, oh no, that's my best friend getting beaten.
That's how I saw it. Like, you know, the gang stars are the aggressors in the situation. You know, like, and I
suppose they are. Yeah.
Yeah, like Crash is like ultimate face, like with maybe the exception of Grayson. Like, there's no like purer face, I guess, in the FWA.
Yeah.
And, like, Black is kind of an anti-hero face, I guess, like how I see him. Like, and I don't know, like, yeah, and if they want to turn him, then that's fair. It is out of the blue.
100%.
For me, like, I know Crash, I think, had wanted to maybe turn Crash. Wolf had wanted to turn Crash for a while. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing like what they're right, because I like, but like they're both like two of the, you know, I said earlier, I've got my guys that I read every week, and like Crash and Black are definitely two of them. So like, I'm really interested to see how this, like, you know, translates to what they're right next week.
Tig can kind of attest to this. Golden Rock Toners was always meant to be 2 matches.
Yeah.
One with, and I don't want to spoil anything.
No, I think you're okay. Just say what you're gonna say.
And yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, you can read my promo from Desert Storm and be like, okay, one with, you know, the toners as they are in Desert Storm, and then another one with like a different variation of the toners, to be a little bit more vague. I don't know if, from me personally, like very selfishly, like to interrupt that second match and like what that could be, like I wouldn't, like, that matters a little bit more than facing the Gangstars.
Yeah, it does to me too. That's not to put them down.
No, it's not. It's 100% not. But so that's why, like, the timing of it is, it's going to have to be worked out. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, that's the problem with one mod knowing and not the other two not knowing. It's like, it's a fair thing to do as well. Of course it is, for the element of surprise. But I mean, yeah, it can. I guess my only gripes with the Gangsters thing so far, because as I said, I was just kind of like, oh fuck, what happens now? Like, I wasn't really thinking too much in the logistics department of it. But I guess kind of my thing now is, right, if we all knew we could have done something here, and but I think BIB looks good-ish. Good, yeah, good. I'd say good. I'd say good. Kind of no matter who you play, like if there's as I said, there's literally like, man, you could have a list of 9 or 10 people that you could plug into that main event. Like who's going to win the CC? It's kind of, it's exciting, man. It's the best time every year because like everything you thought you knew, it can be turned on its head. Like looking over Diamond last year, that's what makes it exciting, man. Like what if a heel crash comes out? A heel crash comes out, and a heel crash is going to have to go and face a heel St. Sully.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't read great for the BIB reading of it, but to me that's interesting. A heel Sully and a heel.
It is, and like I mean, for me, like Crash is still Crash, and regardless of the heel turn, his chances of winning the Carnal contenderships like remain the same, if not increase, because it's going to be a fresh promo. Like it's going to be interesting. Like it's already got my interest before I've read a word of it. And like in terms of the alignment, like I don't know, I feel like St. Sully has sort of become a little bit more sympathetic over the last few months, for sure. Like in his promos, like I feel like that's definitely a conscious decision that Sully's taken, like through the relationship with the daughter and that kind of thing. So if like super turned like traitor monster heel Crash is like coming in, if that's what Wolf wants to write, there's no reason why Sully can't even take a more sympathetic kind of trajectory in that, if you want a traditional face heel dynamic. But like I don't even think you need to. It's back in business. Anyone could win the CC. It doesn't have to be a face. Like heels can enter as well. Like I was still excited about the prospect of Par winning, even though Par's always been a heel. Like I'm not damp on the idea of Par winning just because he's a heel and the champ's a heel. And like, if you think about if Crash won the CC, you think like this is the dude who just fucking walked out like battered golden FWA like fucking Hall of Famer, like whipped out a CWA belt and like clinked it against another one. Like this is like this is a marauding invader. Like who's more FWA than St. Sully? He's been there for like 6 years or 7 years or whatever it is. Like always been FWA. Like Sully's never been CWA. So like if it was going that angle and you wanted a face heel dynamic, like you could easily sell it in that regard.
When did they attack you first, TGO? Was that Mile High?
It was like before Mile High.
Yeah.
No, it was at Mile High. It was at Mile High. Yeah. Because we just won the tag titles, and then all of a sudden they're out.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah,
so like, and that has been like, I think even SS mentioned it. Like they have kind of overshadowed really big moments. Yeah, at Mile High.
Yeah, okay.
The tournament ends. We just went undefeated through it. That's a big moment. The Toners just win the titles. That should be a big moment. And they've been here. And this is not me shitting on them. Not me saying that they did this on purpose. I don't think they did this on purpose. I think it's just coincidence. But
I've enjoyed the angle. I've definitely enjoyed the angle, and the reveal was good. But like, if you're gonna have them show up at Mile High, like why not go all in? Like why not have them like deck Grayson and MVH too? Like like, and then get the ring and attack the others. Like at Desert Storm, why not? Like the Toners are the champs now. Why not have them attack the Toners as well?
Right.
Like I feel like more could have maybe been done if like. And that's unfair because I did really enjoy the reveal. Like I was like flabbergasted that it was Crash and Black, which I never am. Right.
I was shocked
because of the Discord. Like you know quite a lot before it, like in terms of what people are doing, like in their own angles, and like it did like shock me, and like that was it was a really good angle to read. Crash can say it's not a heel turn, man, but that's a fucking heel turn. Like if you see that on a wrestling show, like Golden.
You're at least complicit.
Of course, man. Like Golden and Ramon have been like Ramon or whatever he's called. Like they're fucking. They've been faces for fucking months. Like they've been like the faces during the tournament, and they're faces during their reign. Like
Yeah.
They've been sympathetic, and like they've been like attacked by these leather-clad fucking punks like for 2 months. And how can that be anything other than a heel turn? Like it is a heel turn.
Okay, all right. I tried, Crash. I tried.
Get Crash on here. Is he awake, man? What time is it? Yeah. Like get him on. Like it's fucking heel turn, Crash. Yeah.
How do you?
And it was a very enjoyable one.
Yeah. How do you guys rate the top 5 your favorite 5 characters and then favorite 5 riders. Or you can even do 3 if you want. If you want to just stick to 3.
I'm gonna exclude present company.
That's fine. Yeah.
So Crash for sure is in the 3. Prodigy, both character and writer, I guess, is in the top 3. If we're talking like all time, then I'd definitely have Snowman Tashi in there. But if the current crop, then I'd put Grayson in there as well. I like reading Jam's writing. So yeah, they're my 3.
Interesting. I like that Grayson shout. That's a good one.
Yeah, I've got for characters. I've done the same thing. I excluded Gold and MVH, and that's. I just want to preface it with they probably honestly would be in my top 5 for both sections, but in the interest of just getting discussion out there about other guys, I went with for the top characters. I went with Crash, Par, and Uncle, and for top role players, I went with Cyrus, John, and Sean. Yeah. So, sorry, I've said that in reverse. Sean is in the top characters list with Rockstar.
Okay.
So so to me, Uncle, Rockstar, and Crash are the 3 most interesting characters on a week-to-week basis that we have. That's kind of. I tried to do this in a way that it was like not based on any one feud, more so just their character week to week in the FWA world. And I think they're 3 of the most noteworthy standouts that we have on the roster. So yeah, I mean, there's a difference between being a top character and a top RPer. It does translate a lot of the time, I think, over if you're a top character, you might be a top RPer, vice versa. But it doesn't always relate. And I think John is. I think he's top 3 writers in the EFED section with the right character. Definitely.
I'd agree, man. I'd say John's top 2 writers, man. Like I think John and Wolf are the best writers. Like I think, yeah, John's great.
John's like, good. I will. He might not think I will say this, but I think he's really good. I think he's really good. I have my opinions on breaking the 4th wall. That was his entire Colonel Contendership promo.
Yeah.
Literally, his whole promo is probably about this topic. I have my opinions on that. I think it should be done specifically and like delicately.
I haven't read this shit. I haven't read this shit yet, man. I haven't read it yet.
Like. You can read it. I mean, he it's breaking it's like the 5th wall was broken at the end of his.
You're gonna feel something one way or the other. You're gonna feel this is fucking batshit wacky brilliance, or oh fuck, he's gone way too far. And I don't know, that's the appeal to me, man. I'm like, is he gonna go too far this week, or what's gonna happen?
All right, 2 more things, or maybe 3 more things. Brand split. Do you guys have ideas or hopes or ideas about how it should work?
Yeah, I think it's really, really exciting. I think it's going to be good, the brand split. I think it's going to be a good, I don't know, it's going to be something different. In terms of how it's going to work, I don't know, like, you got to think about, like, the draft and, like, who's going to be where, and, like, I think it would make sense, like, for, I think it's, I don't know if you can, I think it's fair to say, like, you got to have, like, the mod of that brand, the character on the other show makes sense, but then, like, how far do you extend that? Like, if so the UA obviously would be on the brand that Jimmy isn't, and then are all the UA stablemates automatically on that brand as well? Like, how much do we like? How much is the draft open, or how much are we?
You can automate that draft pretty quickly doing that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so like that's got to be thought carefully about, because like it would be like hella fun to have like completely open draft, but like if we're gonna do that, like then characters are gonna get split up and that kind of thing. So
I agree.
Striking the right balance between that, I guess.
So one of the things where it'll be different than the last 2 times we've done 2 brand splits before is we're not gonna have a world title for every brand. I mean, that's at least my idea right now. And that's going to be way different. Like, that means that the world champ's going to be crossing over. That means you know, the tag champs will be crossing over. The gauntlet champs will be crossing over. And then like one brand gets the NA title, one brand gets the X title. And that's like their kind of flagship banner titles. I like that because if we have to pull back, it's a little bit like it's not as messy to clean up. But I've also heard some people say like, no, I think that each brand should have its own world title.
I don't think we have enough to do a brand split. And I've said this a few times before. Some people said I finally get between 15 to 20 promos on a weekly basis. So if you were to split that in 2, 7 and 10, I just don't know if I'd be interested in feuding with the same combination of 7 people, could be different characters, the same handlers, or if I'd be interested in modding it. Now, I've never done this before, so I can accept that my numbers might be just right. I might be understating what we actually have and what we could potentially have. But I feel if there is a brand split, I just don't know if I get the concept of a touring world champion, because if someone's on one brand for, I don't know, a 4-show cycle, and then they have to go to the other brand, you can't ever really develop a big world championship field because he's bouncing from brand month to month. But also, I don't see what's going to stop whoever's perceived as the top guy on the other brand that the world champion isn't on that month just saying, well, fuck it, I'm the best, I am the world champion. They're just not recognising it. I think that could create problems out of kayfabe more so than in kayfabe. As in a handler saying, well, like, should I not be the world champion? He's not here. I don't have a chance to take it off him. I suppose it depends on how quickly you flip it between, how strict you are with that. Month 1 is brand A, month 2 is brand B. I think it just kills a couple of possibilities for the world championship. And maybe that's because, again, I subconsciously think we don't have enough bodies to do this really effectively. But I've been told I'm wrong on that, so I don't know. But if we're going to do it, I would lean to 2 world champions. I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but that's what I'd lean.
Mm-hmm. No, I want to hear.
I disagree. Yeah. I think I would prefer 1 world champion, because like how can there be 2 world champions? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like there's one, like the world champion. You are the world champion. Like, I hate it in boxing. Like, it makes no sense. Like, you know, there's not 2 World Cups. Like, there's 1 World Cup. You're the world champions if you win the World Cup. Like, if there's 2, it like, just by the nature of there being 2, it automatically demeans like both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think one champion is the best. And like with how it is, like, you know, we can just like, you guys can just decide amongst yourselves, like, you know, that it's going to be 2 months on show A, and then we'll have 1 on show B, then 1 on show A, and then 2 on show B. Like, if you want to build a big feud, if someone's like earned the right, like through their promos on their show, like, then you can still do that. Like, you know, and like the other show can still build interesting like blood feuds and like feuds for the secondary title in exactly the same way that they would do if it was 1 umbrella show. Like, you know, you would still only have 1 person in the, you know, in the world title scene, even if it was 1 big show. Like, so I think the bodies issue maybe, like, I don't know, like, I haven't sat down and looked at how many people there are. Like, if there are like 15 promos, but I guess it's, you know, there's probably a few more characters than that, and like, you got a few no shows each week, and it's different people each week, a few people not booked.
There's like 20 to 25 actual individual members.
Oh, that's more, in fairness, sorry, that is a good bit more than I thought there was.
Yeah.
25 individuals, quite good.
Yeah, and then again, there's some people who, you know, they no-show, like, you know, OMB no-showed with Knox, but yeah, there's like 20 to 25, which is a decent number, and with people having multiple characters, it just creates a, you know.
Yeah, if I could just go back to the world title thing, because I think after listening to SS's point, I don't think I done it justice. What I was trying to say would be my problem as a single star. I think what I'm trying to say is like, what, I don't know, maybe other people would, but I'd find it very hard to be motivated as a single star on my brand if I'm up at the top of the card and the world champion isn't on my brand that month. I mean, I'm not, me, myself, other people will. If I'm in singles competition and I'm up the top of the card, I'm not going to have any interest in going for the NA Championship or the X Championship on my respective brand if I know that if I wait another 2 months, the World Champion's going to be here and I'm going to get a crack at him. I just think it could demotivate some people.
I get that, but like, you know, like if you're the top match on the other show, then like, you know, you're probably going to be the next in line for the shot just after like the feud is finished, in exactly the same way that you would be if you were the second match on the card, like on the pay-per-view card. Like,
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I do get the point. Like, I think it'll be an interesting like twist on it. I think I think it'll just be a fun thing to do for a bit. Like, you know, like I don't know how long.
It's fresh. It is fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like if someone is like, all right, the champ's on show A and on show B, there's Aleister Black, and he's just like, I'm the best. Like, I think you can use that as part of the story, right? Like you can just have him coming out every week and being like, I'm the best. Where the fuck is the champ?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's cool. That's what
cool,
that's basically what TNA is doing right now. But like, or Impact, I should say. But yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's a cool angle.
There's like interesting things you could do. Like, I mean, like you know, there'd be an instant rivalry between the X and the North American title as well, which there is at the moment. They're definitely tiered, but like there'd be an instant kind of thing with that. So there are interesting things that we can do with it, and like, you know, if it doesn't work, then there's no, like, it's not a fixed thing, like, it's not contracts or anything. Like, you can just kind of write out of it, I guess, like in time. So I think the positives outweigh the negatives, and I think it'll be an exciting thing. And I'm looking forward to the draft. I think the draft will be really fun.
The draft, is that going to be like? I know you can't give away too much, but I'm not the only non-mod here. SS has the CWA thing. I'm just like, I'm clueless to this sort of stuff. Like, so are you going to pick your mods and let them draft who they want? Or that's cool.
I'd prefer that over. You can't have this guy because of this. You can't. I mean, to me, even like the idea of, if you're a mod on show A, then your character have to be on show B. Like, I'm not like sold on that. Like, I don't think that has to be. I think the only thing for me is like the North American champ and the X champ have to be on separate brands. So if show A picks the NA champ, then the show B automatically gets the X champ.
And that's it. And that's the only.
To me, that's it.
Well, if we did the draft tomorrow, that would be a logical thing as well, because you'd probably want Cyrus's
right.
Right. So let's do it tomorrow, boys. What are you doing same time tomorrow night, lads? Let's get fucking drafted.
We'll do our own fantasy draft. That'd be interesting. I think it's cool if the mods are picking, because I always find it so unique. Unique's not the right word. So I always find it so interesting to hear what, like, when you hear someone that just has a radically different view than you on or somebody, and you're like, what? Right, cool. That's cool. I've never looked at it like that. And like more and more. Like, this isn't a shot because he knows how much I like him, but I hadn't noticed GG that much when I first started. When I first came back with Danny to do the tag tournament, but someone kept mentioning, I think it was AON. Just kept shouting them out in his reviews or in his comments, and then I started paying attention to GG, and I fucking love GG now so much. Like you best, like that. Whoever wrote the Concho Uncle GG, the promo the week before the match on the pay-per-view, absolutely class. Absolutely class. So I'm not over exaggerating with praise here. That promo segment, that promo that then segged the week later into the match, brilliant stuff. Really, really good stuff from me viewing it as a fan point. And I think you got them three guys: Uncle, GG, Concho. Concho obviously, if he's the X champion, but even if he wasn't, they're three guys that are going to be drafted high. Concho's so fun right now.
He is.
I could see a mod that is going for a different feel with their brand, drafting Concho over Sawyers, and that's saying something with the years that Sawyers has put into Sawyers and how well he has him at the moment and how high esteem he is. But Concho's so fun, man. Like so much you can do with Concho that I think if you were ballsy enough to run with that sort of character as one of your main heels on the brand, like it could really make you stand out as a brand. It could really make it different. Because one thing that you guys always nailed was Fight Night and Crossfire. I was only around through one incarnation of the brand split. They always felt different.
Yeah.
The two shows always felt different. And I think if this is going to work, that has to be nailed. As I said, it can't be wrestling show 1A and wrestling show 1B. They have to be different. So, like, I'm really interested to see. I have my own ideas on who I think are going to be the mods on both sides. And
to your point, there will be 100% a mod probably on both sides, or mods on both sides that are going to take someone, I say, quote unquote, low. They're going to buy into someone lower on the card. If I was picking, and I'm not going to be picking, but if I was picking, I would do that with Eli Black. I'd pick him like fourth pick. Because I'm high on as hell on Eli Black. But
I'd go. I like what Tig said about drafting Concho over Cyrus. I'd definitely agree, man. Like I'd be picking I'd be picking like if Crash number one, if I could, I'd be taking Crash for sure.
Yeah.
But then after that, I'm picking Concho, JJJ, both blacks, like GG. That's who I'm picking, man. Like I'm building like a show around those guys. Like that's an exciting show.
That's an exciting show because it's fresh. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's like new, like it's new. Yeah. I think that'd be an exciting dynamic as well between the two shows because then if you look at the other show, you've got a mint roster on that show as well.
Yeah, you've got an all-star roster on the other show. I think that's what you're doing. What you're doing there, you're drafting like one really exciting brand upcoming. Like these could change the way the Fed is, and then the other brand you've got this dream team of guys that are gonna put out ace promos every single week. They're gonna build guaranteed a certain level. Like it's gonna be like that. That's gonna be the flagship show for the FWA network if this such thing exists, you know what I mean? Like it's the name value of the stars, and I think you have a chance to really do something with this other alternative brand here. But I mean, I can just see a situation where we're just going to get a straight mix of the two on both brands because the mods are going to probably want the same people in a lot of situations or a lot of stages. And I don't know. I always thought it'd be fun to do I think it was a Sheikh that said it ages ago about doing a draft in the vein of the CC where like highest promo was draft number one. Like that's fun, but it also fucks up a lot of shit, and it could be tough to like make any sort of plans for it around that. But fuck you. I'm after getting excited about the brand split now. Talking to you.
I think we cut him off. I think we lost Tig for a second. Well, we've been doing this thing for 2 hours, so I don't. One question, and I'll let you go. If Tig jumps back in, I can ask him as well. What's the one thing you hope for it happens, or like just most excited for happening in 2021 in the FWA? It could be a title change. It could be a returning character. That could be something where like you're just guessing. It could be the brand split, new mod, something personal.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. There is a return that I'm potentially looking forward to in early 2021, but I don't want to give anything away there. So I don't.
Okay.
I am looking forward to that return. I think that'll be a good injection of new blood. Well, old blood, very old blood, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about now.
The brand split is the brand split is obviously very, very exciting. That's going to be good fun. I am looking for. I don't want to be assuming like Sully is losing, but I would assume that Sully won't be the champion for the whole of 2021. I mean, maybe he will be, but like I'm looking forward to seeing who fills that gap. I think that'll be interesting to see like someone like Crash or Par challenge Sully over the next few months and where that goes.
Or MVH.
Or MVH, yeah, maybe that would be good as well. But I don't know. But Crash is my bet for the CC, and I'd like to see that dynamic back in business that we spoke about earlier. What are you most excited about?
The brand split is up there. I kind of echo both of yours. I'm gonna let your tease of the return. I'm gonna let that be because I don't want to give up anything or give away anything.
I know nothing about that. That's just it's just hearsay. But well, not even hearsay. That's just hypothesis on my part. But yeah,
Hypothesis, yeah, and me too. I think we're on the same wavelength, so I don't want to make anyone. I don't want the dirt sheets to start reporting on stuff, but
that shape Meltzer will be all over.
Yeah,
this,
Shake will be all over this. The brand split is I'm interested to see how it works out, and I'm interested to see how it works out doing it a different way than we have before, with like the number where we're not adding any titles, like we're not at no new divisions basically. Like I think that's interesting. I like the idea that the X Division title gets elevated. That's always been something I've wanted to do for a long time and just haven't been able to because people view it as tiers. I am really looking forward to whoever beats Sully. I think it's built up to this. I know Garcia beat him. Anyone who is interested in who watched WCW in '97, like Garcia winning was like Luger winning in '97, and then he lost it right after. So whoever wins next is going to feel like Sting winning, not hopefully better execution, but it's just going to feel like it's been building up to this. Someone's going to beat him. Whether it's 1-on-1 through a triple threat, whatever.
Exactly.
And it's going to feel really monumentous when it happens. And I'm really looking forward.
I agree. And I think, it's absolutely no disrespect to Sully when people talk about, that who's going to be who's going to knock him off the throne, who's going to be the next big thing, who's going to be the injection into the main event scene and all that kind of stuff. It's a testament to Sully and the magnitude of the title reign. He's been up there for so long, and the reason people are talking about who's going to replace him is because Sully's reign has been so impervious for so long, and he's defeated a number of people this year, man, like Black and Gabby and Kennedy and Diamond and Garcia 12 times. So he's been quite.
Tig's back. Tig's back. Look at that.
Yeah, sorry lads. See, this is what happens when you leave your job and move home to your family house. Your little sister displugs the internet connection for no reason.
No, SS, keep going. And you were basically were.
Yeah,
it's true.
My point was that it's a testament to Sully's reign that people are asking who's gonna finally be the one to replace him.
I wish so. Sully and I were having a conversation not long ago. I don't want to get into specifics, but I wish I would have said to him your reign, your title reign, and being champ, and even being champ going into back in business is very important because it is going to elevate someone else. It is. I mean, it is going to elevate someone, unless you hold it forever, which you're not. So, the fact that it has been this long.
Do you guys think he was? I might have missed it, but do you guys think he was harmed with the flip flop with Garcia?
No, I don't think he was harmed.
No, I don't either. I when you were gone, Tig, I was I basically view Sully at this point as Hogan '97 WCW. Not as heely, not as squirmy heelish, but larger than life.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And Hogan lost to Luger and he won it right back. I don't think he was harmed by that. I don't think he was harmed by it.
Right. Okay. No. Yeah. No. Whoever beat Sully's gone of around the big time. I mean, there's no denying that. I don't think whenever this conversation crops up about the main event needing somebody new injected into it or it needs to be fresh, I don't think that's necessarily reflective on Sully.
No, I don't.
I don't even think it's reflective on Garcia or Gabs the way some people think. It's not any one of the people that are in the main event scene or have seemed to be in the main event scene the last year, because I know people come out with it, oh well, it was only 2 matches, or it was only 3 matches, or if it feels like more, it doesn't matter if it was only 1 match, it feels like more, and people are going to view it like that. Some guys can have 10, 11, 12 matches in a row and won't get stale. Some guys can have 2 matches, 3 matches, and that's it. You've got everything you can out of it. And I think it's just more that the combination of all these main event guys in the main event at once, and ETE, Sayer, and Sully are three of the strongest riders in the Fed. They deserve all their accolades and all the credits that they get. But I think it was more. It felt like it was a never-ending combination of these three, with maybe someone else dashed in, like a little bit of Alistair Black here, or we throw a few of them into the Mile High together. And I think they're three people that could really soar with this brand split, because if they get separated, which I think in some form they're going to be, I mean, the three of them aren't going to be together, Garcia, Sully and Gabs. I mean, at least one of them is going to be on a different brand. And I've such high hopes for all these guys. It's not as if I'm down on these guys or I don't think these guys are good. These guys are great. It's just it does feel, I don't know what it is. Maybe someone can explain it, but it does feel like even Sully, Garcia, I just fucking, the match was deadly. The match was great. I loved that instant knockout spot at the start of the match. I was like, oh fuck, are they going to do this? I thought, you know what, Gabs is after getting marked to win this, and Sully's going to be a fucking legend and go out like this. And it just would have been such a cool moment. Like, maybe that spot would be better served for somebody that needs it more than the likes of Gabby, who's obviously already a killer and one of the top people on the roster. But I liked all that. But at the same time, I was just like, right, it's opening the show, it's not closing the show, but I just feel like we've been here before, and maybe we have only been there once before, but maybe that was all I want. Maybe that's it, you know, that was all you needed. It doesn't need to be retreaded again.
Look what happened with Cyrus, right? He was, I mean, what was it, like around crap, I'm trying to think of the actual time frame. The Gabby feud just ended, so like let's say May of last year.
Yeah.
June of last year. To me, Cyrus was the stalest character in the Fed.
Yeah.
Because he had been in the world title scene since he joined 4 years prior. So what does he do? He like completely like 90-degree left turn to like, I'm gonna just do an angle that has nothing to do with anything title related with Eli Black. Or really he went to the tag tourney and then, he tagged with him and then that transitioned to a feud. And like by like, I don't know, August, September, like I think Cyrus was like one of the most interesting characters in the Fed. He went from the most like stalest to most interesting.
Definitely. And
half of it was just he wasn't involved in the title scene anymore.
Yeah, and the Eli Black thing really helps as well there, because and this isn't meant to be putting down Eli Black's position prior to teaming with Cyrus or going with it, or teaming with him or feuding with him, but he always felt like somebody that would never be in a program with Cyrus or be because Cyrus, even though as you said he was stale, he did have this aura of he's above a lot of this and he won't come down to this. I know Cyrus years and years and years. Like I know Cyrus over 10 years, and he isn't that type of guy at all. But his character was deemed so successful and so good and so big that it was hard to imagine him coming down to, which Eli was at the time, like a mid-card level, to have a feud. And I think it's after doing the World of Wonders, because I think some of the staleness that I was talking about from the main event scene, when people are saying this is stale, what you don't want is for people to start thinking, oh, I don't want to feud with that person because they're perceived as stale. So what Cyrus dropping down, obviously, legend. Cyrus is guaranteed, locked in, I'm sure. Well, if he's not FWA Hall of Fame, he's EFED Hall of Fame anyway, without a shadow of a doubt. And Eli was this guy in the mid-card with a lot of potential. He's good. Hasn't quite put it together for this character yet at this stage. Hasn't got that storyline. He just would have never put them together. Putting Eli together with Cyrus, I think, is going to be looked back on as an absolute stroke of genius for both boys. And I think it's going to push on to this of maybe, you have your flirtation in the main event scene, you have your world title opportunity, maybe you have a small run with it. Doesn't mean that that's it now, you're up there, you're the main event, you're a world title. Like you should be able to come out of that field and go into a field with an Eli Black or what Eli Black was at that stage, And if you're really that good, you'll make that work too. And I think that's why we've really seen just how good Cyrus is when he's dropped down. It also really freshened up Cyrus, but also the whole concept of Cyrus. So now all of a sudden people are clamouring to field with Cyrus again. Everyone's going to want a shot at the NA title. It's extended to Concho now. Concho's just a whole pile of fun. And I think if you're into creative writing and you get a chance to work with him, take it, because it's going to be great crack. But it also, that shows the other side of Cyrus, that like he's dropped down, he's done the NA, done the X. When Cyrus rises back up to the main event, which of course he is going to, like he's got the capability to do it tomorrow. When he does, the story comes back, brings him back to the main event, and when he does win that next World Championship, whenever it is, I think it's going to be well received.
No, I agree with what Tig is saying, and I think the last point is definitely a salient point as well. That, like, you know, when the time away from the main event scene is going to elevate any program he has when he gets, you know, right back in. And you say away from the main event scene, but, you know, is the main event scene just the last match, or are you talking about the upper card? And like Black Truth was still you know, in the upper card, like it was still main event caliber match, like.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So, like, you know, but you're right. I absolutely agree, Tig. Like when he gets back to like the world title picture, because of his absence from it, it becomes much more of an occasion, you know.
Yeah.
I would, if I had like advice for like the Garcia character, I would say just look what Cyrus did in 2020 and just do that in 2021.
Yeah. Garcia's in this weird position, man. It's I don't know what, like, his promos are great. I'm never gonna take that away. Ever. Say's a good writer. His promos are deserving of what they have achieved over the last year. I don't know if it's his reluctance to look outside maybe the world title picture. Maybe that's been his focus, and that's fair. I understand that. I can understand, though I don't agree with his whole stance if he should get a rematch. I don't believe in rematches at all. But I can see where he's coming from. And then to have people tell him, like, okay, look, you've had your time in the sun. You drop back down for a bit, build yourself back up, get that bit of support behind you again, and go again. That'd be demoralising. That's demotivating. I understand that, and it could feel a bit like it. That wasn't really fair. That wasn't like, oh, I worked so hard to get there and that was it. But I think it's just kind of the nature of the game. Like the highs and the peaks are much shorter unless you're absolutely unbelievable than the lows and the disappointments and the people not liking your character for a bit or thinking you're over pushed or whatever. Like Garcia's going to be fine. Garcia is fine. Garcia is a big player. I just think I think a change of perspective could be really beneficial to Sarah. So I think Sarah sometimes thinks he's not rated or something, and this is going out to everyone in the Fed. I'm sitting here saying that's bollocks. If people are out there they don't rate Sarah, that's bullshit. Like it is. He's a good writer with a good head for a lot of things pro wrestling. I think it's more of as I said, it's a styles thing, and if I'm gonna get any point across, it's between lads that have been told that they seem stale or it's been stale for the last few. It's not an actual reflection on what people think their ability is. It can't be. They're too good for it to be a reflection on their ability.
Yeah, I think the Saya Gabriel like mini feud, the Garcia Gabriel mini feud, like towards the end of last year was really good, and like I enjoyed the match, and I wrote the match. I enjoyed like the promos for the match. I mean, like Saya's promos for that I think was his best of the year. Like that was a really good like mini program. And I'd like to see him do like more stuff like that, mini stuff. I think it has been too prolonged now, the feud with Dave, and like I've got no appetite for another match between the two, to be honest. But like if it happens, then like I'm sure like both promos will be good. But you know, there's only so many, like, you know, then because they're so good, like they will occasionally keep beating each other, and like how far are you going to take it with rematches? You know, there has to be a point where you cut the thing off, and yeah, that doesn't mean that, you know, Garcia's never getting another world title shot. Like,
right.
the CC next week. Like you can earn an
Right.
Untitled shot. Just
Yeah.
like everybody
They're
else.
unfortunate that they're linked together anyway. I know they won't like be saying, but I know Sayer and Sully just saying linked together, like that they're always involved in each other's shit, like all over the site, not just Sully and Garcia, the characters. And I think that does actually kind of play into a bit of fuck Sayer and Sully, because it's like I see this all the time, and then they're in the Discord talking about making a tag team, and I'm like, oh boys, please don't, lads. Like, it'll obviously be a hard hitting, great scoring tag team, but I'm like, just don't do it, like, don't, not now anyway.
Yeah.
But down the line, that's obviously that'd be super fun. Sully and Sayer actually teaming up. But
funnily enough, Garcia was the first attacker for MVH when we were first coming up with the angle. When I first came up with the angle, I was talking to Sayer about it and pitching it as Garcia being the attacker. But then eventually he got another world title shot, and like it didn't happen. So we went to like prod with the idea and prod ran with it. And that was great. But like, I was just thinking about it the other day. It could have been MVH v Garcia as the main event at Desert Storm with ending with a DQ finish instead of Car if Garcia had gone for it. But
that would have been a nice ripple effect. I mean, who steps up then? Because I mean, whoever was fielding MVH come Mile High wasn't in what was going to be was going to be Garcia regardless. So if the chamber is the same, or not the chamber, I don't really know how to describe the Mile High Massacre setup in words, but whoever was in that, if the setup was going to be the same, like it's not a wild assumption to assume that Sayer still wins that match. And then, like, you just wonder what happens then. Like, does he go on and lose the rematch to Sully? Does the prospect of bringing the title to Desert Storm to face MVH, who he's been fielding all year, like motivating that bit more? Now, I'm not saying he didn't give absolutely everything. I'm sure he absolutely did, as people always do. But you know yourself, in some situations, you just produce that little bit of spark when you're really up for it, like, and you've been building it. Like, it'd be a very interesting. So much still, you should do an alternate history SS of what would have happened if Garcia was the mystery attacker.
Yeah, well, that was my CC promo idea. T, you're just fucking giving it away. I'm gonna have to come up with
Thank y'all for doing this.
No worries, man.
No problem. Yeah, it's been fun, man.
I hope y'all had a good time. And I guess I gotta break the fourth wall. I hope everyone listening to this conversation has a good time listening to it. And I hope to be able to make this a semi-regular thing. So thank y'all for being the first ones to do this, and for giving me 2 hours and
I can't believe I'm talking
closer to 3 hours, almost 3 hours. Thank y'all for giving me 3 hours of your time. But
yeah, to edit it severely before putting it out there.
Maybe. I don't know. Might just put the whole thing up. We'll see.
Warts and all.
Warts and all. Yeah. Tig dropping, coming back. Yeah, we'll have the whole thing up.
No, I really enjoyed it, bro. Honestly, I can't believe it's been 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Doesn't feel like that.
No, man. And I still feel like there's so much to say about the Fed, but
right.
Yeah, I think we hit some good points there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much.
Thanks for having us on, bro.
No, absolutely. Yeah, thank y'all.